Hey everyone, welcome to part 73 of my Pokemon game series in Unity. So in this video, we'll start the implementation of evolutions. So first let me show you how we are going to implement it. So when my Charmander reaches level 16, it'll evolve into Charmeleon. So this is the evolution screen. It's pretty plain right now, but you can add animations and effects to make yours better. Alright, so now if I start another battle, you can see that our Charmander is now Charmeleon. Alright, so let's look at how to implement this. Special thanks to all my Patreons for making this series possible. By becoming a Patreon, you can support me and get access to the complete project files of the series. The project files also contain some advanced features that are not covered on YouTube. By the way, I want to give a huge shout out to Curry for writing a tutorial for evolutions in the Discord for Patreon. So this saved me a lot of time while implementing evolutions for this video. So if you're a Patreon, be sure to check out his tutorial along with many other tutorials that we have in Discord. Alright, so let's start the video. So before we start implementing evolutions, let's fix a bug that we currently have. So let me show you the bug first. So if I start the Fainted Pokemon quest, it'll enable a quest object over here. So this pickup is the quest object. So now if I go take the pickup, and then if I save the game and restart and load, alright, so you can see that the pickup is still here even though we took it. So that means the state of the pickup is not restored correctly. So what's happening is when we load the game and when we are restoring all the objects in the scene, this quest object is disabled at that point, right? And this is only enabled when we restore the states of our quest. So the state of this pickup will not be restored since it's disabled at the time of restoring all the other game objects. Alright, so to fix this issue, we'll have to manually restore the states of all the quest objects when we enable it. Alright, so let's fix that. So here, when we are enabling a quest object, we should also restore its state, right? So how can we restore the state of a single game object? So if you look at the saving system script, here we have a function called load, which will restore the entire game, but we don't want that. We just want to restore a single game object, right? So I'll create a separate function for that here. So let me create a public function and I'll call this restore entity. And this function will take the savable entity that we want to restore in the parameter. Alright, so to restore an entity, we can call entity.restore state, and we have to pass its state in the parameter. So the entire state of the game is stored in this dictionary called game state. So we can get the state of this entity from the entire game state. So for that, we just have to pass the unique ID of the entity to the game state dictionary. Okay, so I'll pass entity dot unique ID. So this will restore the entity for us. But we only want to do this if the game state actually contains the state of this entity, right? So if this entity was never saved, then there won't be a state, and in that case, we don't want to restore it. So I'll just add an if condition over here, and I'll check if game state contains the unique ID of our entity. Okay, so only then I'll try to restore it. So now let's use this function to restore our quest objects. So this is the game object that we want to restore. So first I'll get the savable entity from it. We can only restore a game object if it has a savable entity, right? So let me get the savable entity first, and let me just store it in a variable. So if the savable entity is not equal to null, it means this game object can be saved and restored. So we can do that by calling saving system dot I dot restore entity, and we just have to pass the savable entity in the parameter. Okay, so this is all we have to do to restore the state of a game object after enabling it. And by the way, let me just remove the braces to keep the code short. All right, so this is all we have to do. So next, let's do the same when we enable an object when a quest is completed. All right, so let me add the braces here, and I'll just copy these lines and paste it over here. So this will restore the state of the game object once we enable it. All right, so let's go to Unity and check if the issue is fixed. So I'll try loading the game. Okay, so here you can see that the pickup isn't here anymore. So that means its state is restored correctly. All right, so that bug is fixed. So next, let's start implementing evolutions. So let me go to Visual Studio, and let me just close all the scripts. We don't need any of them for evolutions. And let me open up the Pokemon base script. All right, so for implementing evolutions in the Pokemon base script, we should define all the evolutions that a Pokemon can have. All right, so for that, first I'll create a new class for evolution. All right, and I'll make it serializable so that we can see it in the inspector. Okay, let me just fix the spelling of this class. So in this class, we should specify to which Pokemon we should evolve to and the required level for that. Okay, so first I'll create a variable of type Pokemon base, and I'll call this evolves into, and I'll also make it a serialized field so that we can assign it from the inspector. Okay, so next we need a variable for the required level of the evolution. All right, so that's all we need for now. So let me also create properties to expose these variables. All right, so now in the Pokemon base class, we need to define a list of evolutions. Okay, I'll just call this evolutions. So we need a list over here because a Pokemon can have multiple evolutions, right? So if you take a Pokemon like Eevee, it can evolve into so many different Pokemons. So that's why we need a list. So let me also create a property to expose this list. Okay. So now let's go to Unity and assign the evolutions for a Pokemon. Okay. So I'll add an evolution for Charmander. So first let me create a Charmeleon so that we can assign it to the evolution of Charmander. So I'll use Control D to duplicate the Charmander and I'll rename it to Charmeleon. Alright, let me also change its name and let me also change its sprite. So next I'll just increase the stats so that it's stronger than Charmander. Okay, I just increased the values a bit. These are not the exact stats of Charmeleon. Alright, so now let's add an evolution for the Charmander. So I'll change the size to 1 and the Charmander should evolve into a Charmeleon, right? And let's say we want it to evolve at level 16. So I'll set the required level as 16. Alright, so this is how you should assign the evolutions. Similarly, you can add an evolution for Charmeleon and make it evolve into a Charizard. Alright, so let's go back to the scripts and continue the implementation of evolutions. So let me open the Pokemon script. Alright, so here we need to create a new function. So this function will be called check for evolution and it will return an instance of evolution. Okay, so in this function we should check if there is any evolution at the current level. So we can get the evolutions from base.evolutions, and to get the evolution at the current level I'll call the first default function, and for the condition we can say the required level should be equal to the current level. Okay, so we can simply return the value of this and it will get us the first evolution at the current level. Okay, so next we need a function to make a Pokemon evolve. So I'll call this function evolve and it will take an evolution as the input. Alright, so how can we make a Pokemon evolve? We just have to change the Pokemon base to make it evolve, right? Once we change the Pokemon base, it'll be a completely different species. So in the evolve function, I'll change the base to evolution dot evolves into. Okay, so this will change the species of the Pokemon. And once we change the species, we should also recalculate all its stats, right? The stats of the new Pokemon will be completely different from that of the old one. So we can just call this function to recalculate all the stats. So I'll just call calculate stats function from here. So next, when we complete a battle, we should check if any of the Pokemon in our party reached the required level for evolution. Alright, so since we have to check that for all the Pokemons in the party, I'll actually create a new function in the Pokemon party script. Okay, so here I'll create a public function and it will be a coroutine, and I'll call this function check for evolutions. Okay, so in this function we should loop through all the Pokemons in the party, and we should call Pokemon dot check for evolution to check if it can evolve. Okay, so I'll show the result of this function in a variable called evolution, and if the evolution is not equal to null, then that means there is an evolution for that Pokemon at this level, and we can make that Pokemon evolve by calling Pokemon dot evolve function. Okay, so let me also add a dialog here saying the Pokemon evolved. All right, so next we should call this function whenever a battle ends, right? So in the game controller script, in the end battle function, we should call the check for evolutions function. So for that, first we need to get the player's party. So I'll say player controller dot get component of Pokemon party to get the player's party. Okay, and we just store it in a variable called player party, and then we can just call player party dot check for evolutions. And since this is coroutine, I'll put this inside a start coroutine function. Okay, so that's all we have to do. So let's go to Unity and test if the evolutions are working. So the Charmander evolves at level 16, right? So I'll make the Charmander in our party level 15 so that we can easily level up and test it. And I'll also make the XP yield of the Bulbasaur really high so that we can get a lot of XP by beating it and easily level up. So let's go ahead and test this. So let me start a battle real quick. Okay, and let me beat this Bulbasaur so that we can level up. Alright, so the Bulbasaur has fainted and we have leveled up. And you can see that our Charmander evolved into a Charmeleon. Okay, so if we start another battle, you can see that our Charmander has evolved into a Charmeleon. Alright, and if we look at our party, okay, so here you can see the first Pokemon is still Charmander. So that's a bug. The party screen is not getting updated once our Pokemon evolve. So to fix that, what we can do is from our Pokemon party script, from this function, we can call the onUpdated event of the Pokemon party script. Okay, so this event should be invoked whenever we make a change to our party, right? So here when we are adding a Pokemon, we are calling it, right? So similarly, we should call it whenever we make a change to our party. So let's also call it from here so that changes in the Pokemon will be reflected in the UI. Okay, so now let's go ahead and test again. So I'll beat this Bulbasaur real quick and level up my Charmander. Alright, so our Charmander just evolved into a Charmeleon. And now if we check our party, you can see that the change has been reflected over here. Okay, so that's working. So I'll stop the video here, and in the next video, we'll create a screen for the evolution where we can show our Pokemon evolving. So before you leave, make sure to leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to my channel. That will really help me out. So I'll see you in the next video.